On the drive, goes inside the floor. Scoops it up. Booker brings the boom.
Time to find out who is going to be bringing the boom on this Thursday night 5-game NBA slate. Of course, we're going to focus on DraftKings here at Run Pure Sports. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having a nice day. It's about to hail here in Atlanta. It looks like some weather in the area. So if I somehow disappear, I'll try to get right back on the little show here. I hope everybody's doing well. Baseball season just 2 weeks away. It was a slugfest for the Phillies and the Braves today. Maybe a sign of things to come here in the National League East, as we're just about 2 weeks away from opening day, maybe a little sooner, for the Tokyo Series. DC, it was good seeing you in Las Vegas this past weekend. We won't say anything to the people about what we did or who we saw or what wagers we made and won, and we'll leave that to their imagination. But it's good that you made it back to Denver in one piece. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, back to Denver in one complete piece here. Enjoying some beautiful weather here back in the Colorado area this morning. And like I said, I mean, you're talking about hailstorms in the Atlanta area.
Yeah,
it doesn't take much this time of year, JT, but that got me a little bit back excited about baseball for a moment. Looking at the weather reports, trying to predict if games are going to play or not. Certainly an important part of April, MLB DFS. You got to love it all. We're almost there. A couple more weeks here of the, it's the dog days of summer for baseball, they call it. But I think it's fair to say these kind of are a little bit of the dog days of the NBA season. But nevertheless, winners to be picked, money to be made. Travis, I saw, I haven't seen you in a week doing a show. I've missed you. I saw you did manage to get fourth place in a college basketball tournament. So I know things have been going well over for you there in Mangoneland. So good to be back with Travis. Good to see you again, JT, and excited to break down this slate with you guys.
Travis is with us in a house that has no electricity, obviously. Travis, how are you?
We're doing good. I missed you too, DC. JT, he was still in the Discord causing shenanigans as always. But you seem like when you don't play, you take like a hiatus. You're kind of completely off the grid. But college basketball has been good. Madden Sims are still going strong, DC. They're on right now, so it's a good time over here at Run Pure. And of course, we got March Madness, the tournament coming up, which is going to be exciting. And yes, I am excited for baseball. I was talking pre-show with you guys. I'm excited for a little basketball season and for us to dive into that. So all the sports are going on. It's just a lot of niche ones right now.
Do you guys get like the iPhone notifications where it tells you about your screen time, how much you used and how much, if it went up or down?
Yes.
Mine was down like 84% in Las Vegas. So I was checked out. I wasn't on the phone, like I normally am, sweating sports, making bets, all that stuff. But good to be back to it.
It was lovely because all the TVs were right there.
Yeah.
And we made the NBA bets. We scooped most of the NBA bets.
You did well.
And we were able to watch the games right there. And it was good. It was fun. You mentioned weather. Every DFS sport has its unique challenges. Of course, we'll be monitoring those weather reports beginning in about 2 weeks here. For now, we've got to monitor which teams are deciding to play any of their players and which teams are going to warehouse some guys under the guise of injuries. Of course, the Jazz got fined $100,000 and then decided to play everybody last night. That was certainly interesting. But we got a 5-game slate here. There is some injury news, of course, and it comes really in the first game. Maybe not what a lot of people would consider as big injury news, but I think it's on this slate where there's not a lot of obvious options. And we're going to look to, can we pick a wizard out that might help our teams? Well, Bilal Coulibaly is going to be out for 6 weeks. That's going to open up some minutes. It's a little unpredictable to where they're going to go, but we can suggest that maybe they're going to go to some of these younger guys that they're trying to develop in this matchup in Detroit against the Pistons, who are looking good and playing well, despite the fact that Charles Barkley does not care about them, does not know who coaches them. Travis, we'll start with you. The Pistons are favored by 13.5, but it is a nice 234 total. Pistons fully healthy. While Bilal Coulibaly is going to miss for the Wizards, they did get Marcus Smart back. They have added a couple of dudes off the street. So they are going to have a bunch of guys on the bench. Is there anyone that you could pick out on that side and any particular interest in any of the Pistons in this match?
Yeah, JT, you got it wrong too. It's Shaq. Shaq was the one that was confused with the Pistons coach, but I'm sure Barkley didn't know the Pistons coach either. So
pretty sure he's not paying attention to Detroit teams either. So there you go.
They're both probably not, but obviously this is going to be not a bad game DFS. So I think there's better ones on this slate. Cade Cunningham, he did just play Washington, and they just played Washington. So I'm sure you're going to have a lot of people game log watching those performances a little bit. But Cade Cunningham is a good spend. The problem with Cade Cunningham is, like, I could play Cade or I can go all the way up to Luka without LeBron James, right? Going up against the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, that is going to be a debate on this slate is like, do you go to Cade or do you go to Luka? I know they're not the same price, but that is a big conversation point. And for me, I just want way more Luka. I think it's too good of a spot for him. Washington can obviously use some of these other guys. I know Dennis Schroeder has been a guy that's been popping over the past week or so when you guys were gone. It's not popping that much today, but he's still getting some ownership. And I think he's just a guy I haven't really been playing. Malik Beasley, I actually don't mind him off the bench. This is a matchup. If you were going to chase the ceiling performance, like this is where he could do it, right? Against Washington. That's where he could hit all his threes. Another guy whose minutes have been kind of volatile is Oscar Thompson. Not really excited about Oscar Thompson in this spot, but DC knows I'm excited about Tobias Harris at 5.9K. I will say this. Forward sucks today, right? Like it's not a good position. You are going to struggle with picking a lot of your forwards. Tobias at 5'9" against the Washington Wizards, it's a perfectly fine play. I'm interested in that. And then, of course, Jalen Duren at 6'9", he's another one. It's just the minutes, it's the fouls. He's very volatile, but he does have a ceiling. And I'll say this too. Center isn't a great position either today. It feels like guard is probably the best position. There are some value forwards, but center, it drops off really fast after Giannis Antetokounmpo. So overall, I think most of the starting five for the Pistons are in play because they're playing the Washington Wizards. And then for me, I don't really want to play any of these Wizards. They're a lot more healthy. I know they are missing Coulibaly, but they got Smart, right? They got Middleton, Jordan Poole, 7'5". Like, I don't like many of these guys. The only guy you can maybe talk me into is a Justin Champagnie. But the problem with him is I don't think he's going to start. I think he's going to be 30% owned. And I really think he's probably a better fade at 30% ownership off the bench. Now, if he starts, he'd be a lot more intriguing, but I don't want to play many Wizards on this slate.
Wizards are a bit of a tough click here. DC, what do you see on the Detroit side? Oscar Thompson has been popular, but he really doesn't have a ceiling. Now, Jalen Duren does have a ceiling. This is a matchup that teams have exploited in the recent past and really all season long against the Wizards. But he is almost in the 7K range now. Travis mentioned there is a little bit of volatility. What are your thoughts here on finding some plays in this game?
Well, my first thought is being disgusted that you can't get back for one show with Mangone without getting some Tobias Harris love. You know, you couldn't have spared me the first game of the first show. No,
First game. First game. Two things he did. He corrected me. You
need to be corrected. Sorry for
we will exact a hefty revenge for the remainder of the show. And then we had to put up with the Tobias Harris infatuation.
Forward sucks today, guys. I'm just going to tell you, forward and center is not great. You'll find out as we keep going through the slate. It's not great.
We'll find out.
Are you suggesting that we have not looked at the slate prior to coming on this show? Mangone's very hurtful. You know, some of us like to prepare for our shows here on Run Pure Sports. Yeah. As always, I will leave Mr. Harris to Mangone. Easy to write him off my list whenever Travis likes him. So good to have the slate narrowed down by one player. But yeah, I mean, first game of the night, both these teams are for this time of the year. I mean, they've got most of their team healthy, especially Detroit, who has played this way the whole year. They really haven't sat anyone out unless they're actually injured. So credit to them. It's paid off. They're having a good season. Obviously, you can play Cunningham. Mangone mentioned, choosing perhaps between Cunningham and Luka. I mean, I'm throwing Giannis in there against this Lakers defense. I just don't know who's going to do anything to stop Giannis on the interior for the Lakers. So I like him, I think, more than Cade. But obviously, all three guys, Luka, Giannis, Cade, over 10K. Might have to choose just one of the three. I've got Cade third, even at the discount. So probably not going to be for me. Again, totally a fine play. And then, the rest of Detroit's kind of the same way. You just don't know where the minutes are going to – and production's going to go outside of Cade. And when you've got all these guys, they're not that cheap, right? $5,600 for Thompson, $5,400 for Beasley. Harris close to 6K and Durant close to 7K. I don't really see discounts on any of these guys. So none of them are terrible plays, but I don't know if I'll end up there. I think Jalen Durant is my favorite of the bunch at the center spot, even with the price tag. Just the awesome matchup against Washington's weak interior. He's playing better. The minutes seem to be trending up, so I do like him a little bit. No problem with Cade. And then, the Wizards, believe it or not, they seem to have a lot of bodies available for this one, and so the rotation is going to be tough to predict. Mango mentioned our friends over at SaberSim they've got Champagny as by far the best value in this game and as one of the best values on this slate. I'll just say I feel much less confident in projecting that for Mr. Champagny than Saber, and I think other projection systems do as well. So if he's going to be owned coming off the bench for the Wizards, seems like a relatively easy spot to say, well, if he beats me, he beats me. I'll find someone else to play at that $4,900 price tag. So first game of the night, it should be full of fantasy points in general, but I think they're going to be a spreader around in a little bit of a frustrating way. So I'm not going to end up on a ton of this game, most likely.
Next game up, the Lakers head into Milwaukee. Lakers coming off lost to Brooklyn, right? Lost that game in Brooklyn, guys. And Milwaukee favored by 7, 225. Luka they're obviously without LeBron James here. The Lakers are. Only notable injury for Milwaukee is Bobby Portis is still out. Look, Giannis has been mediocre here in terms of fantasy production. Luka has been good at times, but mediocre recently, and that game against Brooklyn was mediocre. And here's the challenge, right? There's not a ton of value on this slate. I think there's, as DC pointed out, there's some bad value that you can choose from. Champagny is one. There's the Bulls game that we'll talk about later. I'm not going to be forcing Luka and Giannis into lineups, but I do think that there's a couple of other plays in this game. Austin Reeves had kind of a mediocre game, but he's cheap enough that he kind of paid it off against Brooklyn. I like him in this spot. And then Brook Lopez, I talked about it last game. He continues to be underpriced without Portis. And this is a matchup. You mentioned it being good for Giannis. I think it's a good matchup for a $5,400 Brook Lopez as well. DC, what are your thoughts here on the Lakers and the Bucks?
Yeah, to your first point, this could be a slate where balanced ends up being the way to go, right? Maybe you don't get it up to any of the 10K plus guys if no good value emerges. So certainly that is a possibility, which would leave you, of course, without Luka and Giannis. Between the two, assuming Luka plays and Giannis and Lillard both play, which I think is the most likely scenario, I do prefer Luka over Giannis. I think the ceiling is higher right now when Lillard's in there along with Giannis. Travis, do we know for sure if Luka is going to play? Is there any indication that you've seen? I assume he'll be in there, but he's missed a lot of games this year, so you don't know for sure, right?
I assume he's in. Also, I don't know if you know this, but the Lakers have the craziest stretch of games coming up. Yeah. I think they have like 8 games in 6 days, like something insane. I think it's because of that wildfire stuff that happened, but I would assume he plays this game. If he's going to rest, it's going to be like in the middle of this, especially with the Braun injury right now. So I assume he plays.
Yeah, I assume he plays too, but just what you talked about, the hectic schedule coming up, potentially, especially if he's playing through, a little niggle on the ankle or whatever, like They could pull the plug earlier than normal, right? Knowing they got all these games coming up, they could be behind.
This is a TNT game, but if they're getting blown out, right? Yes, you could see them pull the plug early. I agree. That's a really good point.
Yeah. I will say if Luka sits, I think Austin Reeves maybe becomes the best play on the entire slate. Again, we expect Luka to play, but you never know in the NBA. If he's out, you got to get Reeves in there. I like Reeves even if Luka plays. But obviously if Luka sits, Reeves becomes the main man for the Lakers. Who else on the Lakers is gonna do damage here? I mean, missing LeBron, missing Rui, missing Jackson Hayes. Do we even know who's going to start at center or get the majority of the minutes for the Lakers at the 5? It looks like it could be like 3 or 4 different guys to me. I mean, Finney-Smith and Vanderbilt and Jamison, right? All these dudes, non-productive players. The point is,
I think, 7 minutes, 11 minutes. It was very low.
I'm not interested really in any of those players at their price points. I guess my bigger point, Luka and Reeves are going to have to do almost everything for this team offensively. They just do not have much else whatsoever. So you got to consider them. I mean, otherwise it's going to be Vincent and Connect and Jordan Goodwin. I mean, even those guys aren't huge producers. So I do think the stars are going to have to carry the Lakers here, Luka and Reeves, if they're going to compete with the Bucks. I don't hate pairing them. I think they'll need good games from both of them, honestly, to get the full minutes allotment. So I think they're a decent pairing. And then, on the Milwaukee side, I think you're picking between Giannis and Lillard on any one team. If picking either, I wouldn't want to play them on the same team. I prefer Giannis. Lillard, I think, is a fine play. I do think the Bucks offensively should kind of get whatever they want here. I just don't see the Lakers with their current personnel. It's Luka and Reeves and Connect, and they don't have a center, and these guys haven't played together that much. It's just a recipe for some awful, awful defense from the Lakers. So I do kind of want to get exposure to the Bucks. Maybe that's through your guy Brooke Lopez, JT, but I think the Bucks should put up points with ease. So not a team that I want to avoid entirely. Just got to figure out where exactly we want to go there.
And I think that's one of the reasons for concern here, right? You wonder how this Lakers team is going to compete. And if what we're saying, right, is you've got Luka, and Luka's 12K now, right? Well, what's the easiest way to stall this offense is to just double, triple Luka, force him to get the ball out of his hands. Now, you're not facing a great coaching staff. You've got Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham. So there's no guarantee that this is how this is going to go. They could very well just have them sit back and play it like a schoolyard pickup game. Travis, what are your thoughts on the Bucks and the Lakers? Before we get there, though, our friend Rahul decided that, and he says Nick Claxton is a way better play than Lopez. We'll get to Nick Claxton and we'll talk about him, but I just can never consider anyone right now on the Nets a way better play than anyone else, given the minutes, the rotations, the volatility there. So we'll talk about that when we get to that game. Travis, we got to get this done before it gets dark in Denver. So please go.
JT, the disrespect to Emirates Cup 2-time champion Darvin Ham. He won the Emirates Cup 2 years in a row. He's undefeated. That's a great coaching staff right there. But I am with you. Yes, you could see the double teams, but I also know the Bucks just suck against guards, right? Like we always want to take guards that are on the opposite side. I want to do the same here. I know DC said that if Luka's out, Reeves might be the best play on the slate, or would be. I think Reeves could be one of the best plays on the slate, even with Luka in. That's how good of a play he is at his price tag of 7.5K. He does fit that balance build you guys talked a little bit about too. Could also leverage onto Luka a little bit if Luka's getting more attention. I love this spot for Austin Reeves. We should talk about the rotation they had the other day, the Lakers. So they only played 9 guys. Dalton Connect played 41 minutes. Austin Reeves, 36. Gabe Vincent, 34. Alex Len played 13. Trey Jamison played 18. I mean, it's an ugly group that they got there. Jared Vanderbilt's going to play like 25 minutes. Jordan Goodwin, I don't think is the craziest play. You can play him at the forward position and the guard position. on this slate at 3.6K, I actually think he's my favorite cheap Laker if I had to pick. It's probably him one.
And I don't. So I was looking at this, and I looked at what happened last game. The one concern I have, I'm not going to discount that he's in play at 3,600, but my goodness, he ran as pure as possible. I think he was.
He might start, JT. I wouldn't be shocked if he started.
Who's he going to start instead of?
I could see them go Dalton Connect off the bench if they really wanted to. I could see it. Like, it wouldn't be crazy.
If he starts, it's a different conversation. I'm just, if he starts and we think he's playing 35 minutes, fine. I think, what was it, 6 of 8 and 5 of 6, something from 3. I mean, he was on fire last game. I just don't know that you could bank on it. He is cheap enough. He's in play, but go on.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot of good options. And I don't know what the starting lineup's going to be, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked if they said, hey, let's bring Connect off the bench instead, because that's the role he's used to and comfortable with. That just wouldn't totally surprise me. I mean, they just lost to the Nets. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they just said, hey, let's try some other different kind of starting lineup. Jared Vanderbilt could be the guy that slides in there, so they could use him a little bit more defensively on some of the size that they have. Because again, they don't have much size. You know what I mean? Like, it's just ugly there.
Have you been grinding JJ Redick's press huddles? It sounds like you might have picked up a nugget there. You think that there's a change to the starting lineup coming?
I know how they have been with Dalton Connect this year, and they've started Jordan Goodwin way too much this year than you'd be. You know what I mean? Like, we've seen him.
I'm right, DC. I think I'm right. I think he stayed up late while he was playing LOL, watching LOL, and decided to listen to JJ Redick's press conference. Go on.
Yes, you've caught me, but let's talk about the Nets a little bit, because obviously there's good plays in the Lakers. We know it's going to be clearly Reeves and Luka, and then for the cheap options, you can take your pick between Connect and Goodwin, maybe a Vanderbilt. But let's talk about the Nets, or not the Nets.
The Bucks.
I have the Bucks. Sorry, I have the Nets. I have the Nets popcorn machine up on my computer, so that's why I'm thinking the Nets. But we'll get to that. Let's get to Giannis. I do agree with you, DC. Like, Giannis is a great play. Like, he's probably number 2 when it comes to paying for studs. Also, to fit that balance build conversation, there's not a lot of studs to spend on, right? If we just talk about the studs on this slate that are 9K and above, it's Banchero. Sabonis is coming back from injury. Zion in a terrible matchup. Curry against Sacramento, which is always a volatile play. And then it's Cade Cunningham, Giannis, and Luka. So it's definitely not the greatest stud spending slate, but Giannis clearly could be a good play. I know people worry about bigs against the Lakers. Well, this Lakers team is not, what it was before. They've got Alex Len out there with Luka and no LeBron. And I know Jackson Hayes isn't that big of a deal, but it's way better than Alex Len. So Giannis is definitely a good play. I know you've liked Brook Lopez a bunch, JT. You could talk about him a little bit more if you'd like when we talk about the Nick Claxton conversation. The Kyle Kuzma play, that's a guy I really never play. I know it's a revenge game, but I'm not that excited to play Kyle Kuzma at that 6.2K price tag. You could make the case that Damian Lillard, JT, could be a leverage off of a Giannis. Again, I'm not that excited about it. I think there's other plays that I'd rather get to. So for me, I'm mainly focusing on the big men here. It's mainly a Giannis and a Brook Lopez. The only other guy maybe you could get off the board with, which I don't know if I could even do it, is Taurean Prince. Just if you're looking for off the board guys, he can fit some smaller ball lineups, but it's definitely a rough slate value-wise, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, my point on Lopez is just 5,400 with no one defensively to worry about, and he's been good mostly since Portis went down. He had a little bit of a downswing where they faced a couple of tough matchups. I think it was Orlando, Houston, something like that. And then last game out, a very nice 34, 36 fantasy points, something like that, which at the price point is nice. But as Rahul mentions, we've got some options, or at least one option to consider here in the next game, which is the Nets heading into Chicago. The Bulls favored by 2 points. Noah Clowney is out for the Brooklyn Nets. He remains out. Lonzo Ball doubtful. Josh Giddey is going to miss a couple of games here. And D'Angelo Russell will be back in the mix, which crowds the guard spots for the Nets. But Claxton is 5,200. He's been getting 30 minutes. So even if he gets a few minutes shy, I think 5,200 is fine for him. It's hard for me to quantify if he's better than Lopez because the Nets do have other bodies. where the Bucks really do not. This is their rotation. That's what they stick with. But 5,200 for him. And then you look at the Bulls without Giddey. Ayo Dosunmu is out for the season. I think there's an option here with Kobe White. A little bit less interested in a very popular Kevin Huerter, but I'll definitely have some of him. And this Claxton is way underpriced. He's like $300 less than he normally is. And then Travis Buzelis for the Bulls is showing up as somewhat fairly owned and a somewhat popular value. But you've got Patrick Williams, who's back. You've got Vucevic, who's back. I don't think that this is a great spot for him. What are your thoughts here on the Bulls and the Nets?
Yeah, just saying Buzelis is 30% owned, JT. That's the point of this value on.
Well,
this.
that's to the earlier point about, hey, do I want to play some of these guys that, like last game he played 24 minutes? I mean, that's probably not enough here on this slate. So, and of course Stephen Christian's my guy, but no, he's never 6K. He's never 6K. Go on, Travis.
Yeah. But yeah, so 4.8K Buzelis. I think I'd rather try to find other values, right? Yep. It's not easy because like the other values we might suggest are kind of gross. You know what I mean? Like that's why I was talking about Jordan Goodwin. But trying to find ways to kind of not eat this bad chalk value on this slate. One good piece of chalk value in this game, JT. I think Kevin Huerter is a good chalk piece of value. I want him starting. I think he's starting. It's my assumption at 4.3K. I do think it is a good matchup for him. I assume Trey Jones is going to start too at 5K. He's fine, but I think I prefer Huerter the most on the Bulls side of the ball if you have me pick. I do like Kobe White a lot at 7.3K. That's another guard that I would like to get to. So I probably have it ranked Huerter 1, White 2, and then Jones.
So that's well, all right. We'll talk about that later. Go on.
Yeah, I mean that's my list for the Bulls, right? The Nets is a tough one because they are healthier, right? Like they usually have one of D'Angelo Russell,
especially the guards and forwards. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is you look at the prices, right? So for one, the matchup's great. We know they're playing the Chicago Bulls. Any team against the Chicago Bulls, we're interested in. D'Angelo Russell is 5.1K. I mean, against the Charlotte Hornets, he dropped 50. You know what I mean? Like, and he only played like 26 minutes, I think. Like, this dude has upside at 5.1K. Yes, the floor sucks. I get it, but he's got to be in play. He is 28% owned, according to SaberSim, but he's in the conversation, no doubt.
He's going to be higher on than that.
Cam Johnson only 10% owned at 6.1K. He's another guy. I think he's in the conversation. And Cam Thomas, 6.4. Those are the main guys that I'm looking at. I'm not super excited about the Claxton stuff. Again, center is bad, but I think I'm with you, JT. I don't like Claxton as much. I want to look for other ways to get off of Claxton in this spot. And I will call out another guy that's going to be under-owned, I think, on this slate. Zaire Williams at 4.8K. If we're looking for values to get off of, or basically under-owned values to get off the chalk ones, at 4.8K, he's guard and forward eligible. I don't think he's the craziest play. I'm not saying we want to jam Nets into our lineup. Trust me, I only want to play like one or two max, but I think it's hard to ignore them at the prices. That's the kind of point I'm getting at. So for me, if I had to rank them, I think it's D'Angelo Russell 1, Cam Thomas 2, and then Cam Johnson 3, followed by Zaire 4. That would be my Nets rankings.
Stephen Woodruff says, and this is a good point, and we'll talk a little bit about this. This is the Nets' third game in 4 nights, and then they've got a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday. So one day off, then a back-to-back. He says they could go deep rotation, DC. That's pretty much what they do every night. But when I look at the ownership, like 40% is what I see on D'Angelo Russell, 37 on Claxton, and 38 on Cam Thomas. Then you've got Zaire Williams, completely unowned. He's a young guy that I think they're looking to develop. Keon Johnson is 4,700. He's going to be 1% owned. Like, I just see this as so much more volatile than, oh, it's a good matchup. You have a bunch of guards here, Russell, Thomas, and they play them all. I don't know that I want to buy into this popularity for the Nets here, DC. I get the prices, but I'm a little concerned more so about the guards than I am Claxton. Claxton coming off a bad game and a bad matchup. Actually, it was a pretty good matchup against the Lakers. He just had a shitty game. So there is that. But I side more with maybe a Claxton, having some Cam Johnson, having some Keon Johnson, and then going way, way under guys like D'Angelo Russell. What are your thoughts?
I think that makes sense when when you clearly have a volatile team like you have with the Nets, who have nothing to play for, whose minutes are all over the place. They've had just guys in and out of the roster, injured all year long, and so you get to this point in the season, and it's like they've had so many different guys to kind of be their number one on different games throughout the season, and the ownerships, like you're saying, JT, would reflect that we have a high degree of confidence in predicting where the production is going to go with the Nets on any given night, which I think on the surface, that statement itself, most people would agree is tough to do with a team like the Nets. So I totally get why people are playing D'Angelo Russell at that $5,100 price tag. Clearly, he has some upside. He just showed it a couple of games ago. Still a very talented offensive basketball player. But with Thomas and Cam Johnson healthy, it's not like he's the only one, right? That can produce, that can score on this team.
Pretty confident that Russell's big games have come when Cam Thomas has been out, as well as some of the other guys.
So I'm with you, JT. I tend to not want to play Russell into heavy ownership. Looks like he's going to get tonight, so I'll probably try to move away. I don't love Thomas or Cam Johnson in those low 6K ranges either, but I think Thomas is the one I prefer. It does seem like all these guys are kind of getting, 25 to 30-ish minutes, so and it's not going to change a lot from that. Cam Johnson may be getting a few more, so maybe you could look to him at 6,100. He has had 3 really solid games in a row, so I'll lean Cameron Johnson as my favorite net if we're going in that direction. Don't mind Claxton. I think I'm with you, JT, where I slightly prefer Brook Lopez in that same price range for center, but Claxton a totally fine play. Mm-hmm. And if you want to pick one of Thomas or Russell or even Keon, I think that's totally fine as well. But I don't want to go too crazy with this Nets team. Probably limiting to, for sure, no more than 3, but I think 2 is more my comfort zone with the Nets team if going there. So that's the Nets. The Chicago side, obviously things have changed once again for them with Giddey now down, who was, he was having the best run of his career by far, putting up 50 plus on the regular, price point up to 8,600. Now he's going to be out for a while with the ankle sprain. Obviously a team that already traded Zach LaVine. They already lost Dosunmu for the year. So a team that, likes to play guard heavy and once had seemed like 4 or 5 guards competing for minutes on a nightly basis. Now you're kind of getting down there to Trey Jones and Kobe White with maybe THT coming off the bench, but it looks like Lonzo's going to miss this game as well. So I do think you got to take a look at Trey Jones and Kobe White. I am a little worried that the Bulls just go deeper into the rotation, right, and bring out Javon Carter to play 15 minutes because they just had nothing to play for. And now you get another injury, and it's like, why not just kind of empty the benches every game? It doesn't matter anyway. So I'm a little worried that guys like Kobe White, Trey Jones, that their minutes are overprojected. That's my concern with the Bulls. You really can't go to, I don't think, the center spot. Collins, Vucevic now splitting minutes. I think probably going to be close to down the middle. So those guys are off the table. Buzelis, like you mentioned, JT, I can see the case for him being overprojected with the guys that the Bulls have left. I am with Mangone, though. My favorite Chicago Bull is Mr. Kevin Huerter, who seems to have found a little bit of new life here in Chicago. Clearly has the green light, firing from deep every chance he gets. He's 4,300. He's cheap enough. He's proven he can play some decent minutes, played 34 minutes last time out. So Huerter is my number 1 guy in the Bulls, followed by I think I'll go Trey Jones 2, and then Kobe White 3 with Buzelis and the centers coming in behind that.
DC, let me say this too. Kevin Huerter, play him at small forward because as I'm counting your forwards on this show, you only like Kevin Huerter and Giannis really at forward so far. And you can get on the Tobias Harris bandwagon, DC. It's a rough forward slate.
You're marking it down over there. You got a little notepad marking the forwards.
I mean, you haven't talked about any good forwards. I know you're not playing the Warriors forwards. I know you're not playing Keegan Murray. I mean, the only game left would be Orlando Pelicans. My point is, you don't like Buzelas, you don't like Shinpenny, like forward sucks. That's all. I'm going to hammer this home throughout the show. If you are playing Kevin Huerter and you're a 1-3 lineup guy that likes to hand build, you better put him in the small forward spot today.
Well, if we keep got to listen to your hammer or your forwards point home, I'm just happy we only have 2 more games to go.
Is Beasley forward eligible, Travis?
Malik Beasley? He might be. Let me just double check. He is. Yes, he does have the small forward eligibility.
You just save a little. You just save a little there. You just save a little from him to Harris. Not that I love that play. I mean, Bulls are going to be in the play-in, right? I mean, this is they're not going to drop out of the play-in, right? I mean, there's nobody chasing them.
It's pretty impossible for them to. I'm pretty sure.
No, I mean, there's still 19 games left. If Philly starts winning games,
they're not.
But I don't. Well, I mean, you never know.
They're not. I mean, yeah, they're 5 games out, and Philly is trying. They are actively trying to lose games right now. They are planning on trading Paul George.
Well, yes and no. I mean, they say they're going to limit guys' minutes, and then Quentin Grimes plays 39 minutes on a back-to-back. So Nick Nurse seemingly can't help himself. But okay, that is Brooklyn and Chicago. Orlando at New Orleans is the next game up, and it's a beautiful slate. Orlando, the Magic, favored by 2.5, 216. Travis is going to give us the injury report.
You want the injury report? I don't think there's anyone on the injury report for this game, so you're good, James.
Why don't you check again?
Let me double check. I mean, my thing's not showing up with it. Oh, I guess. Well, these guys are already out. Cole Anthony's off the injury. Misi is out, and Kelly Olynyk. But
Misi was ruled out this morning. Travis, thank you very much for the injury report, sponsored by our friends at DraftKings and Remington Electric. DC, talk to us about Orlando at the Pelicans.
Yeah, I mean, Orlando side, when they've got everybody healthy like they do tonight, I think most nights, including this one, kind of limited to Banchero and Franz Wagner. We talked about these guys a little bit in Vegas, JT, not really wanting to play more than one of these two specifically on any one team. It does seem to be one or the other. If either one, truly gets there, and oftentimes both of them are kind of around 40 fantasy points, which isn't really what you're looking for at those price points anyway. But in this matchup, certainly both Franz and Paolo, I think, are good plays. Looks like Cole Anthony's popping in projections. 4,900. Could play him at shooting guard, so I think he makes some sense. I'm sure Mangone has an opinion there to share. But yeah, I do think Cole Anthony's fine. I guess Carter Jr. too, right? So maybe more Orlando in play than I initially implied. But yeah, Orlando side looks okay. I think one big question of the night is what to do with the Pelicans center situation, right? Missing Misi. They already lost Kelly Olynyk. He's out. Have had other guys out. They got Zion at the 4. Have they said who they're going to start? I assume not. But it'll be one of Makovic and Bamba, right? I don't think is there anyone else? Could they?
I think they could start James Robinson for JRE. Like they could, not saying it will happen, but like you can't ignore that he's a possible spot start and then doesn't close.
So the player I want to play is Mo Bamba there at the 3K. I mean, listen. Yeah. Has anyone seen Bamba and Bol in the same place? Because I'm pretty sure they're the same dude. And we've seen the 50 burgers from Bol, so maybe Bamba can do it on this Pelicans team. I doubt he's going to start Mangone, Mo Bamba. That would surprise me, but I still kind of like him coming off the bench. I'll roll the dice that we're getting 15, 20 minutes of Mr. Bamba.
We don't know what we're going to get. I would say it's entirely possible that Bamba's a 10-day contract guy just because of injuries and sort of like in case of emergency, they'll break out Mo Bamba. I don't know that. I mean, we'll see. We could be wrong. He could be starting. And remember, though, when he started for the Clippers, he'd play 6 minutes a half. So it isn't exactly a spot you want to load up on. And I'll be interested if people do that so that they can get a Luka or get a Giannis. I don't know that that's the right way to go. But DC, I get it, right? 3K, very exciting.
Yeah, I'm probably taking the Mo Bamba bait. I'll say it right now. I've accepted my fate. Maybe Mangone will be joining me. I don't know yet.
All right, Travis. DC's committed, made his decision, not going to back down. King of Smack, I agree with. I think it's Makovich, and I think he's okay at 4,200. I think Zion's a bit overpriced. I don't have a lot of interest here in the Pelicans. Murphy seems finally back to a reasonable price that you can play, but it is a brutal matchup. Just this game is going to be like watching snails. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's that slow-paced game. I will say, like, you feel dumb playing Murphy when you can just like save the money and play Austin Reeves instead, right? That's one thing. Kind of
play both. You can play both.
Sure. All right, let's talk about Orlando first. DC, I did hear you mention 2 spend-up forwards. You like Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. It's hard to ignore them. They're definitely good plays here in this spot. If you are spending down at your guard, those are definitely 2 guys you can get to. If you want to set a rule to only play one, that's certainly fine. I will say Cole Anthony Chalk definitely never feels comfortable, but he does have a ceiling, and it's just a rough slate for value, and I do think this is a good spot, so I don't mind him. But my favorite guy on the Magic, I think it's Wendell Carter Jr. at 4.8K, as gross as that sounds. He just feels really safe at 4.8. Feels like I get a ceiling. Doesn't feel like he'll kill me. There's not a lot of good plays. It's tough. So I think he's my favorite value Magic guy. I will say this too. If you do play Wendell Carter Jr., you have the ability to pivot to Mo Bamba if he decides to start, right? If you want, you can do what DC is, play some Mo Bamba. I do like Makovich a little bit. He gets basically 20 minutes a night. I'm expecting another 20 minutes. It could even get upwards to 28. I definitely don't mind him in this spot, especially if they decide to go Zion at the 5, which wouldn't shock me. And they could do that to kind of close the game out. So I do think Zion could be in the 5 at times. That gives him more opportunity. And then another value that shouldn't be ignored is Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown, if he gets the minutes, like if you tell me he's getting 25 plus minutes, I know it's a gross spot, but I would be interested. I don't know if he's going to get the minutes, but they are shorthanded enough where it does make sense for him too. So I think Bruce Brown is definitely in play as well. So I'm really just taking some shots on some Pelicans values. And then I do like the spend ups for Orlando's, and I like the value plays as well.
Bruce Brown did start and play reasonably well the other night. And these Magic, it's tough, like DC said, with a full team. I know the prices are tempting, but the ownership here on Wendell Carter Jr., who just has not shown a ceiling whatsoever. But I guess he is cheap enough. So,
I mean, he was like 5'4", 5'5". Now he's down to 4'8", JT. And again, like, I'm telling you, center is not great today. Like you go down the list. It's hard to sell you on much.
What do you mean? You got Mo Bamba for 3K. What more do you want?
Yeah. You got Mo Bamba at 3K. It sounds like a free square.
Free square.
Never seen Mo Bamba in March fail ever in my life.
All right. Last game of the night. And then we'll give some plays of the night. And we'll take any questions, by the way, 735 people who are watching. Any questions you have? Who just went? I think Travis did. Travis, we'll start with you. This last game is one that it's going to be hard to get interested in much here, just for a couple of reasons. Sacramento at Golden State. The Warriors favored by 7, 234 total. Jonathan Kuminga will return here for the Warriors. Podziemski is still out, but that is going to create some havoc with already unstable rotations. And then on the Sacramento side, Malik Monk is going to return. Jay Crowder is off injury. Jake LaRavia is going to play. Trey Lyles is questionable, and Domantas Sabonis is questionable. There's some talk that maybe Sabonis returns tonight. So that makes Sacramento a little bit difficult to decipher. Very expensive pricing here on really both of these teams. What are your thoughts, Travis?
Yeah, it makes Sacramento really difficult, right? Because we have price hikes with Sabonis out, right? And typically when there are the price hikes, we've been playing DFS long enough. We understand it's time to get off these guys. And so not really a lot of Sacramento Kings you're going to like here. JT, I ran 100 lineups. Can you guess who my highest exposed guy is in this game? I'm getting 15% of this play.
Moses Moody.
No, that is a good guess. DC, do you have one?
Monk.
No, it's Quentin Post. It's
Mr.
pretty
Yes.
gross.
Because he's a good play because you added in another guy at that position, right?
What?
You added in another guy who plays in that same positional area.
Now, I don't know what you mean by I added one in.
Kuminga is in. Why would you play Quentin Post?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying that's what it did. I don't know. It's just it makes no sense, but that's what
Don't
it was.
blame Mangone. He just pressed build lineups, and that's what he gave him.
I'm not going to do it. I'm just telling you what it did. This was my earlier run in the day. I do like Draymond Green, though, at center. Center's gross. I do think they are going to need him. I think if Sabonis is in, I'm sure they're going to have him match him a bunch. I think my favorite play in this game is Jimmy Butler. Again, forward sucks. I don't mind going up to Jimmy at 7.9K. I do think Franz and Banchero are better plays, but if you force me to pick, I think Jimmy's my favorite guy in this game. But overall, this is a great game to be lower on, right? And that's one reason why, like I said earlier, the forward and center sucks. There's not a lot of good plays on this slate. Feel free to get a little bit creative because there's some tough plays. I'm not getting creative with Quentin Post. I'm going to say that right now. But I do think Jimmy Butler is the best play in this game.
DC, that is tough to compete with. What are your thoughts on the Warriors and the Kings?
Mangone's analysis, you're saying, is tough to go second? Okay.
There wasn't much to analyze. I'm going to have not a lot of. It's terrible.
I didn't know you thought so less of me, JT. But yeah, you're right. I can't do better than Mangone. He did break that game down perfectly. It's an ugly one. If you're playing, a few lineups like I am, you could turn this one into a 4-game slate. You don't need to play anybody from this last game. It's pretty ugly. Like we mentioned, both teams getting guys back. I mean, we've got, just to reflect the kind of the general salary creep of Sacramento, you got Jonas Valanciunas sitting up around 8K, with Sabonis being out. So Sacramento, I just don't see with Monk in there, Levine, DeRozan, and now Sabonis likely back. Just really hard to get to them. And then Golden State's kind of same thing. I mean, they get Kuminga back, which takes away from kind of all the value guys, the Quentin Posts of the world that you might have otherwise considered playing. I probably wasn't going to play Quentin Post regardless, but maybe some people were, and now it's tougher with Kuminga in there. So I don't see a lot that I want to get to from this game, and probably won't be waiting the 2 hours between games to make one last final call here. So I don't love this one. I think, when you start getting healthier like this and the price creeps up, probably the best plays are the stars, but even those guys, Curry's almost 10K. I mean, I just can't really justify doing it. So I think this game is the worst DFS game of the 5 we have to choose from.
The worst DFS game of the 5 to choose from. A couple of people believe that JSU has passed.
There's a lot of concern for JSU. I did not see the golf show last night, but it must have been entertaining for all these comments.
Yeah, he was taking a shot every time they went to a new range, from 10K to 9K to 8. He was taking a shot. It was tough.
All right, got a couple of questions here. A couple of people believe Stephen Curry is going to nuke tonight. He could. It's not like they're getting another high usage guard back. And I would expect the way that Steve Kerr manages players, you're going to see 12, 18 minutes out of Kuminga, guys. I mean, that's kind of what I would expect, which is just enough to, mess with those forwards and centers. A couple of questions here. A 2v2, Duren Cole or Stuart Franz? Duren Cole or Stuart Franz? That's a good one.
I got. I kind of like Stewart at that $3,500 price tag. So I got the Stewart side.
What is Stewart's price?
3,500.
Yeah, Stewart's a good play.
I think so.
Better than you told us, Travis. There's an echo here. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, who's got the echo?
I'm not sure. All right, another question. Beef stew or Duran Torin? Beef stew white or Duran Torin?
I would go. Who's the what?
I guess it's Torian Prince. I would go one.
Yeah, I lean white and white and stew as well. What's where they said center sucks, so punting the position with Mo Bamba or beef stew is not the worst thing.
King of Smack, who would be the better play, Duran or Lopez? I think the upside, I would have to agree that Duran probably has the better upside. Point per dollar, I think Lopez is an under-owned play. You guys, thoughts?
I'm with you. I like Lopez. Obviously, comparing different price points there, but I do like the Brook Lopez call quite a bit.
I do too. I did say I was going to swear off taking centers against the Lakers when Cat did terrible the other day, but this Lakers team is not the same. So I'm with you on Lopez.
Okay. I don't think Stewart is going to punch somebody two times in a row. I think it'll be a couple of games before he beats the shit out of someone else.
Did you see Steven Adams and Mason Plumlee get after it last night?
No, I didn't see it. I heard it. I heard about it. I was talking with someone before the slate, and I said, kind of the way we feel tonight, right? It was kind of a slate where I felt the way we do tonight, where I said, man, this Mason Plumlee at 30-something% ownership is something I'm not going to be buying into. And not because I thought he was going to get ejected, of course. But Steven Adams is a guy I wouldn't want to fight.
Adams and Plumlee, Adams got locked up with Plumlee where they were kind of at that point where they're hugging. And then all of a sudden, instead of disengaging and punching him, Adams just lifted him up and then power slammed him to the ground. It was great. So
brutal. Yeah. Adams is a big dude. CW89 with a disgusting comment. Who's the best play on the slate and why is it Mo Bamba? We only have a few minutes left. Otherwise, we'd put you in timeout. Just kidding. All right, let's go to the plays of the day. Who should we start with?
I'll go first because I'm with
DC is ready.
I'm with CW89 here.
No.
Mr. Mamba number 5 coming down, delivering the goods, probably off the bench, dropping a 30-piece for us at 3K. Easy play of the night, Mr. Mo Bamba.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's right.
Travis, I'm speechless.
Usually it's Travis who has a poor play of the day, but that's all right. We'll carry the torch today.
Do you want a second one just in case?
No.
He's a DNP?
No.
No?
I'll live with it, JT.
Travis, play of the day.
I'm going back and forth. Do I give him out? Hey, let's go with it. You guys DC, this is the perfect show for it. Told you forward sucks all show. We're going to collect our 33 DK points and move on to the forward spot. We're taking Tobias Harris, 5.9K. He's the play of the day.
I need to go on vacation again.
DC, I got to share one thing with you, though.
I was muted, but there you are. You're on board, JT. You love to see it.
Yeah. We were talking about creatine, and I decided I was going to get some. And
me, you, and Iron Mitch Schneider. We got this.
Exactly.
I've been taking creatine.
I'm off mine.
I have been. It's been working. It's been going good.
All right. I'm going to give you guys a usable play. A guy that's going to actually score fantasy points and has 60-point upside and is the lowest owned. I think he should be the highest owned of the Chicago Bulls, but he's not. He's the lowest owned. It's Kobe White at 7,300. Don't play these three in the same lineup, please. Mo Bamba, Tobias Harris, and then Kobe White?
Just so you know, Kobe White is the highest owned of all these guys. He's 28%.
He's not.
He's going to be higher owned than Tobias Harris, yes.
No, he's not.
Yes, he will.
Well, how old is Tobias Harris?
I will bet lunch that Kobe White is higher owned than Tobias Harris.
What do you see for Tobias Harris ownership? You say there's no forwards.
I'm just telling you, Kobe White will have more ownership than Tobias Harris.
What is Harris's projected ownership?
I will bet lunch on it.
Now I have to look it up myself.
I'm telling you, I will bet lunch on this.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to make this bet because Harris is only projected to be 12%.
That's fine. See, there's a reason you won't make the bet. See,